It's a bit noisy here today, so I'm not sure if this is going to work. But let's see what happens. So I'm just pressing some apples on this little cage press. They're doing some building works around the back, so it's quite noisy. So these are the apples. They're called Trimmies, or well, the proper name is Tremlett's bitter, but cider folk around here tend to call them Trimmies. So I'm just going to go into the little shop here, and I've put some aside. I thought it might help with identification. And this is the little shop area. It's not going to be any quieter really in here because there's no windows, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, so this is a cider apple that's quite common in the Exe Valley area of the southwest. So if you're not familiar with this area of the world, I'll perhaps put a link or something. But this is a classic Devon cider apple. It's an early apple, so it's one of the first proper cider apples that you get in the year here. And I thought I'd make this video to help people who are interested in identification, because there is a little bit of variation, and I've just put these ones aside because they're kind of quite good examples of different features of the apple. So the first thing is it's a small to medium sized apple. It's flushed red, and it's got what I call a snout. So the technical term I think is elongated cylindrical shape, but I call it a snout. So you see it's kind of like pinched up nose that it's got. Some of them are rounder, more like a conventional apple, but that's its main feature. Let's have a look. Yeah. So the other feature that's interesting, so Bramleys often have like a little bump by the stalk. They have quite a thick stem, and then quite a pronounced bump. And some of these have that same. So they've probably got a common ancestor in Bramley, but the stalks vary a lot between sort of stubby, and sometimes they're quite long. Well, look, here's one. So can you see it's got a bit of a lump and then stalk, but some occasionally, so this one's got like a longer stalk. They tend to form quite tight clusters on the trees, so the trees get really packed with the apples and they form like tight little clusters. And you want to be careful not to press them too early because they turn out quite soapy if they're not ripe enough. So now is the right time of year, so we're just beginning of October now. So end of September, early October really, I would say. So some of them I've got like a greener, so the background is green. They're very susceptible to scab, so that's a common feature. Sometimes, here's one. So you see it's got, it's quite pretty. It doesn't, I mean, it's not great for the tree, but because it goes onto the leaves, but it doesn't affect the, you know, when you press them, it doesn't affect the juice or the cider. So you see they have this flecked flush, which goes long ways along the core, and then the background, they bruise very easily. The background is like green to yellow, and it does vary quite a lot depending what side of the tree they're on. If they're on the south side, they'll look more like this, and if they're on the north side, they'll look more like this. Now I've got one here somewhere. Let's have a look. Sometimes the scab forms like a kind of spiral pattern, so it's where it kind of, it's where they rub each other. I can't find that one right now. Oh, here we are. Yeah. So can you see this? This is very common on them. You get this kind of spirally kind of scab on them. So I think that's most of the features covered. They are a cider apple, so you know, if you eat them, they taste quite sweet to start with, but like you just end up chewing and chewing and chewing forever. And of course the juice has a bit more astringency than like your average apple juice, which of course is what makes the cider nice. So if you press these this time of year, you can actually make a cider for Christmas, and these are the apples that I usually use for a cider for the wassail. So the wassail is like the New Year's celebration, and it's usually ready. So if these go, I've just measured the juice from these, and it's about 44 or 45 degrees, which equates to about 7% alcohol if it goes completely dry. But by Christmas it'll probably be about 6.5. So that's a cider we usually use for our wassail. Right, anything else I want to say about these apples? No, I can't think of anything right now, but something will probably occur the minute I stop this. Okay, bye then.